You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graham Forsyth. Tonight's edition of the Prospect Show brought to you by Caisse Financial Group, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. I'm glad to be back here on this Monday night, everybody. As you can see, we're back to normal here with the green screen in the background. The Forsyth house, for the time being, is COVID-19 free, so hoping to keep it that way, and hoping to keep along the good coverage that we've been having so far here on the Prospect Show of the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. And I only got one guest joining tonight's edition of the show. We're not going to have an MCN Sports Advising segment for tonight's episode. There's going to be no player breakdown segment as well, but we're going to be only having one interview, and I'm going to be talking to one of the many players that will be playing in this year's Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp, and that is going to be 2003 born forward from the Utah Outliers. He played for that team for 29 games this season, as well as for 6 regular season games and 2 playoff games with the Provo Riverblades for the Provo Riverblades in the USPHL Premier League. It is forward number 3 for the Provo Riverblades joining the show tonight. Participant who will be participating in this year's 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp, Austin Tessier. Austin will be joining the show tonight to talk about his season with the Utah Outliers and the Provo Riverblades in the USPHL, but as well as talking about the upcoming 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp he'll be competing in, along with over 300 other players from May 6th to May 8th in Calgary, Alberta. So, without further ado, let's bring on tonight's one and only guest, Austin Tessier, number 3 of the Provo Riverblades, a contestant in this year's 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp here on this edition of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Wow! On this edition of the Prospect Show with number 3, 2003 born forward of the Provo Riverblades in the USPHL, it's Austin Tessier. Austin, thanks for coming on the Prospect Show tonight. It's going to be great to talk to you about not only your season with the Utah Outliers and the Provo Riverblades, but of course your upcoming participation in the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. How are you doing on this Monday night?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's great that you're doing great. It's great to have you on this Monday night. Let's talk about your season first off here. You played 29 games with the Utah Outliers, as well as 6 regular season games, and I believe 2 playoff games with the Provo Riverblades. But speaking about your time with Utah, how it ended up for you to be playing on this Utah Outliers team.
It was definitely an incredible experience. Such a high-intensity program. Coaches were unbelievable. Teammates were unbelievable. Everyone came and competed hard, whether it was in the gym or on the ice in practice. So definitely a really cool experience to be there.
You played with the Edge School U17 prep team for the previous 2 seasons before joining the Outliers. Just talk about how the level of competition differed from, playing with the Edge and the CSSHL to playing with Utah this season.
Definitely a big change. I mean, definitely playing with older guys, right? More physical. Guys are actually more responsible. You have more roles playing in the USPHL, being older in that. CSHL, it was kind of competitive still, just like, sorry,
Yeah, no worries.
just just younger kids, and
Right.
it's just minor hockey when it comes down to it, but it's still super competitive. But
Right.
USPHL is definitely a huge change from CSHL.
Talk about how you felt that you were able to get used to those adjustments that you had to make when you did end up playing for the Utah Outliers in the USPHL.
It just came down to practice how you'd play, right? I mean, in practice, you gotta be competing hard, and eventually it overlaps to games, and then you'll show some progress along the way. So
You put up 3 goals and 6 assists in your 29 games with Utah this season. Obviously, not a player in yourself who put up the big amounts of points, but just speak to what type of player you are out there. With the lack of points that you had, does that just go into the type of compete you have out there as a player? Would you say you're more of that harder working player out there instead of the guy that's going to put up the points?
I would say so. I like to think of myself as the guy that's trying to get in the corners and just contain pressure in the zone, and then keep pressuring and pressuring, and then get the next line out there to continue that pressure. So
Did that go into the role you were playing on this team? Were you playing more in that bottom six role on this year's Utah Outliers team?
yeah, I was playing on the bottom six role, just being a
Right.
year, a junior guy. You got to try and impress the coaches, so you just roll what you get, and it's definitely hard with the Outliers because that team, everyone down that roster was an incredible hockey player. So
Speak about the opportunities you felt that you got this season on the Outliers, playing in the role you were playing in on this team's bottom six as that first year junior player.
definitely a real eye opener, seeing what you got to do to compete, to work to get to those top minutes that you want. Um, it's definitely a challenge. I did suffer a couple of injuries throughout the season, which set me back not being able to get in the lineup, which ultimately ended up me being in with Provo at the trade deadline there.
Right, right. And yeah, obviously injuries never a fun part of the game at all, but just speak about, obviously you end up getting dealt over to Provo. You end up playing 6 regular season games with them. I believe 8 in total, but just talk about the journey you had there from overcoming the injuries to ending up playing with Provo to end off your season this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a real game changer there. I mean, the program wasn't as high expectations as it was with Outliers. It's definitely when I got there, a couple of my other buddies there, we all got traded there. So there was, I think, 3 of us. So it was kind of nice having those guys there, but we kind of wanted to step up there. We saw that we could really step up and be leaders there. So we tried to bring that team together, try and make a push in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it didn't come out the result we wanted, but we tried our best. But yeah, I definitely felt like I was more responsible playing with the Provo Riverblades as I was getting more minutes. I think I was averaging 25 minutes a game with the Provo Riverblades, just having a short bench. You're just constantly going. I got power play time, I got penalty kill time, 5-on-5 time. There's a
Yeah.
lot of ice time for sure, and I definitely felt more confident just being able to go out there and try and make plays. And I felt like I was more responsible with the puck, being able to make hockey plays, make high hockey IQ plays. So
Yeah, right on. And that's always a lot of fun when you're able to be put in an environment to be able to do those things, like you said there, Austin. But for yourself, just getting that opportunity like you had to have more confidence, like you said out there. How huge do you think that's going to be for yourself heading forward, into this upcoming Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp, but also as well as heading into next season as well?
yeah, just having that confidence, that extra boost to just keep going. It's good to keep that in the mentality and bring it into showcases and show all these scouts and everything. what you're capable of doing and everything. So I just want to go into these camps just working as hard as I can, knowing how hard I can work, and hopefully get a good opportunity from it for sure.
Like you were speaking about how you were able to get more opportunity, you got more confidence with the puck over with the Provo River Blades. Just talk about how, for yourself as a player, how you're able to, be a versatile player throughout the lineup, not only playing in a team's bottom six, but also playing near the top of the lineup.
Yeah, it's definitely just trying to adjust your roles. Know who you're playing with. Know if you're out there for being the first line guy, you got to go out there, try and put up points. If you're out there third, fourth line, you're just trying to grind it out, try and get it down into the zone or whatnot. But yeah, I definitely just ultimately just trying to figure out where you are in the lineup and stuff like that, knowing what your role what role you have while being on the ice. So I definitely we had a short bench in Provo, so there's times I was double shifting. So when I was out there with the first line, I was trying to keep going, and then when I was out there with the third or fourth line, you just gotta try and get the puck in their zone, I guess, and stuff like that. So
yeah. Speak about what was like coming over from a team in the Outliers who were having a lot of success this year. I mean, finishing first in the Mountain Division with a record of 38-7-5, and coming over to a team with the Provo River Blades, where this team wasn't having as much success. Talk about those two different situations, how you were able to, adjust to those different situations this season.
Yeah, it was definitely hard at first, just coming from a winning team, like winning mentality and everything, and then just getting thrown into a team that hasn't been very successful. And then it's like practices, it's like you're trying to like push the guys and then mess up a drill, and then it's like you just out of it. And then over time, it's like, okay, I know I got to stop doing this and just be a role model for the team. So I started being like, okay, guys, we got focus up in the gym, focus up on the ice, and just being motivational for the guys.
For yourself, obviously, you played 6 regular season games, and it was listed as 2 playoff games with the Provo River Blades. You put up 3 assists in those 6 regular season games listed, a goal and an assist in the 2 playoff games. But, you spoke about confidence, obviously, like you said, double shifting at times as well with this Provo River Blades team because of the bench situation. When you're able to see those results, like you said, having good play for yourself, being rewarded, how huge did that also play into your confidence, having those results come up for yourself?
Definitely huge. It just made me want to keep going out there and just keep battling, putting everything I got for the team and the guys that I had there. It's just I wanted to give everything I had and just keep going and pushing myself. So it definitely kept motivating me when I kept getting points and helping out the team. So
well, we will continue to talk about hockey coming up here with Austin Tessier, number 3 of the Provo River Blades. Coming up, I'm gonna be talking with Austin about the upcoming 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp here on ASTV Productions on the Prospect Show here with Austin Tessier. I'll be right back with Austin after this commercial break on ASTV Productions on the Prospect Show. Welcome back to the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions, here with Austin Tessier, number 3 of the Provo River Blades. Been talking to Austin about his season he spent with the Utah Outliers as well as the Provo River Blades. Of course, Austin, a 2003 born player, will be competing in this year's 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp held in Calgary, Alberta from May 6th to May 8th. With you being 2003 born, You'll be one of the oldest players there. Is this going to be your first time competing in this camp, or have you competed in this hockey exposure camp before?
I've competed in it before. It was definitely a really cool experience from past years, so I'm excited
Oh,
for it.
so will this be year number 2, year number 3?
I'm pretty sure this is my third year going into it.
Right on, right on. So you spoke about how cool the experience has been competing in this camp. Just take us through, what the experience has truly been in your past 2 times competing in this camp.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of competition, a lot of guys competing, trying to show junior coaches or whoever trying to prove themselves. So it's definitely a really nice atmosphere to be in for a weekend, for sure.
You'll be in the oldest age group this time, 2003, of course. Age groups competing in this exposure camp coming up on May 6th to May 8th from 2003 to 2007 born. Just speak about it, what it was like, in your first few years competing as one of those younger players to what you feel like it could bring this year, being one of the older players this time, being 2003 born.
Yeah, being a younger player for sure, just playing against, like, again, playing against those older kids, and that kind of, I guess, nerve wracking a little bit. But once you get on the ice, you're feeling it, feeling good and everything, and then you just get in the groove of things. So it's nice to kind of just have those extra 2 years of experience, right? Just to see what it is, and being an older player now, it's exciting to maybe the '07s or whatever look up to you as like kind of a role model on the ice and kind of whatnot. So definitely excited for that.
For yourself, you spoke about the pressure of this camp. Obviously, you've had some years of experience under your belt now with competing in this tournament, in this camp before. You'll know what to expect. Maybe some other players won't, as it'll be their first time coming into this tournament. What would your message be to the players here coming in that haven't competed before in terms of how you're going to be able to, or how you want to handle the pressure of an environment like this where it is going to be pretty pressure packed?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, you just gotta get the feel for it. First shift, whatever game you got, or the first time hitting the ice, just make sure you're just feeling it. And once that happens, just play how you would play. Don't worry about, oh, I gotta play like this or whatever. I gotta go out there, score 4 goals, because I know scouts, they don't look for guys that can score 4 goals. They look for guys that know how to play away from the puck too. So just go out there, don't change your game, just roll with it through the weekend and see where it takes it, for sure.
Of course, scouts, GMs, and coaches from Junior Hockey League will be there. Obviously, this tournament, giving some putting some eyes on players, giving them some opportunity for these scouts, GMs, and coaches to see them and potentially acquire them to their junior hockey roster. This factor, what it plays into, for yourself handling that pressure coming in from your experience of knowing that scouts, GMs, and coaches will be watching.
Yeah, I just kind of just put it behind me and try to just like go out there. I mean, you always know there's scouts out there, but you just gotta think, just out there trying to show everyone what I can do, and that I'm capable of playing at this high level and competing and everything like that. Just my message would just be try not to overthink it, for sure.
For this opportunity that you have, what are you looking to achieve coming out of this weekend, coming up in Calgary, in Calgary, Alberta from May 6th to May 8th?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to impress the scouts, for sure. Hopefully, something closer to home for sure would be nice, be closer to family and everything like that. But I just want to get the best opportunity I can out of it, and show all the scouts out there what I'm able to do and why I'd be a good fit for the program and stuff like that.
Well, final question I got from you here. Obviously, you spoke about the type of player you are, but what type of individual will these junior hockey programs be getting out of Austin Tessier, if they do decide to pick you to their program?
I'm just a hardworking, dedicated guy doing whatever's necessary to help the team win. I like to get in those corners and win those battles and just create some offense, and you know hopefully hopefully scouts look for that and want that on their team. So
Well, Austin Tessier, one of the over 300 players that will be playing in this year's 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. Austin, can't wait to see you here on the network from May 6th to May 8th on amateursports.tv, as you'll be one of the many players competing in this year's 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. But until we see you next time here on the network, potentially in the future on another time here on the show, Austin, you take care, and we'll see you coming up in May in Calgary, bud.
Sounds good. You take care as well.
Thanks, Austin. We are going to take a commercial break here on the show. Coming up after the commercial break, I'm going to be giving you guys some final words on this edition of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Austin Tessier, number 3 of the Provo Riverblades in the USPHL, joining the show on tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. Austin also played 29 games before making the move to Provo to play there with the Utah Outliers in the same league, the USPHL, earlier on this year for 29 games. And Austin, one of over 300 players that will be competing at this year's Western Canada Hockey Exposure event held in, or Hockey Exposure Camp held in Calgary, Alberta from May 6th to May 8th. For players born in 2003 all the way up until 2007. It's taking a look at a tweet that was put out by the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp today, as they made an announcement. Actually, it wasn't put out today. Was put out on April 16th, so 2 days ago, that there have been a couple cancellations. So there's 2 spots open for forwards. The camp is 3 weeks away, of course. It's May 6th to May 8th at the 7 Chiefs Sportsplex. Of course, for more information, you can visit Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp.ca today. That is their website. And in terms of where you can see players like Austin Tessier and all the other players that are going to be playing in this Junior Prospects Camp, you guys can check out all the games here on amateursports.tv on our website. You won't be able to check them out on our Facebook or our Twitter or YouTube or places like that. Only on our website on amateursports.tv. Stay tuned for the Prospect Show coming up next week at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, where we will feature more of the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp coverage here as we keep going on our journey, getting closer to that May 6th date. But you can also catch the coverage that we will be having every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time on Coffee with Graham about the camp, with Cody Wall on Off the Wall with Cody, as well as on Thursday night's edition of Coffee with Graham at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. On those editions of Coffee with Graham moving forward, we'll have Seth Rock on the show on Seth's Inside Scoop to preview the teams, breaking them down heading into the tournament. Also, be sure to check out Theo Tekulek's show On the Ice with Wayne Cozier on Wayne's World as they talk about the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp every Tuesday and Thursday as well. But yeah, folks, want to give a special thanks to Austin Tessier for coming on tonight's edition of the Prospect Show and being the guest. Also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Prospect Show as well, and as well to our sponsors in Caisse Financial Group, as well as Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy and TOVI Hockey. The Prospect Show will be returning coming up next Monday at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. You can catch it on Boxcast on our website at amateursports.tv or on astvproductions.com, as well as on our Facebook at ASTV Productions and our Twitter as well at Amateur Sports TV. Be sure to check out the guest list for that episode, which will be coming out next Monday morning at any time before 12 p.m. So anytime before noon Central Daylight Time. You can check out the guest list on our social media platforms, which we will be releasing it on our Instagram on ASTV Productions, as well as on our Facebook at ASTV Productions and on our Twitter as well at Amateur Sports TV. Also, folks, with May 10th coming up very soon, that is the next thing I want to talk about is about my mental health fundraiser. It's Graham's Mental Health Fundraiser. I will be putting a link in the description of this episode down below. Reason why I say until May 10th is that is my birthday. That is when the GoFundMe page will be open to all proceeds in this GoFundMe. That will be linked in the description of this episode shortly after it ends. Will go to the Canadian Mental Health Association. The goal is to raise $1,000, but if I don't end up hitting that goal, that's fine. Any amount of money does count, though. We're currently at $237. Well, I'm currently at $237 in this fundraiser. So the goal is for $1,000, but if you donate $1 or $100 or however much you donate, any amount counts, and I'll appreciate every single amount of money that comes in. As well as for those of you that might not want to donate, please share it to your friends and family, because I want to get more eyes and more people donating and potentially sharing this fundraiser, Graham's Mental Health Fundraiser, which I think the money going to the Canadian Mental Health Association goes to an outstanding cause, raising funds for mental health. And just to always let you guys know, ASTV Productions, the views and opinions demonstrated in the message on the GoFundMe page are my views, Graham Forsyth's views, and his views, my views alone, my opinions alone. They do not relate to ASTV Productions' opinions and views on Bell Media. But yeah, a link will be in the description below, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to donate to a cause that I think is pretty darn important on my mental health fundraiser, Graham's Mental Health fundraiser on GoFundMe will be opened until May 10th. The goal is to raise $1,000 for the Canadian Mental Health Association for mental health. But until next week on Monday night, folks, at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, I've been your host of the Prospect Show, Graham Forsyth, finally wrapping things up here on this Monday night. Until we see you again next week on Monday night, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your Monday tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend as well. Stay safe out there. Until next time, folks, saluting and giving you the peace out, Graham Forsyth, signing off here on Monday, April 18th, here in 2022 on ASTV Productions. It's been a great one, folks, but it's time for me to get going. So long, good night, and take care. Bye, everybody.